nothing being everything, infinite and eternal, and it's free fall, life in free fall. It's just anything can appear to happen, um, and it's completely unknowable, and everything is new. Everything is new, but it's not about it. There is nothing happening. There's nothing happening because there's no longer a sense of someone being there, that something is happening too. So this is nothing appearing to happen. So for the person, there would be a sense of, oh, there's infinite possibilities of things to happen, but there's still in a sense of something happening. And so it's not like that really. Um, but it's amazing how when there's just the unknown and there's just what appears to be, anything can happen. It's stunning. And it's just everything is new. This is infinite and eternal. Um, and really the difference is this is just a sharing and a description. If this is infinite and eternal, it can't be approached through time and space, because this is already infinite and eternal.
Epic. Susan, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, so do you really feel like everything is so new all the time, like you see it for the first time?
Yeah, there's newness, there's an indescribable newness to everything, because it's the isn't and is, it is and isn't. So it is and isn't, so it's always new. It's not for the person, it's moving, it's beginning and then it's happening and then it's ending. And it's not like really like that. Everything is and isn't. The isn't part isn't seen by the person. Everything just is for the person because they are. So they live in the real. Everything is. And the newness then isn't seen by the person for that reason.
Yeah. So there's aliveness to it too. You can,
it is just simply is aliveness. All there is aliveness, if you could put it that way. This is aliveness. This is just aliveness. Yeah. Saying there is an aliveness to it too. That was aliveness saying there is an aliveness to it too. And that aliveness is all that is. But for the person, it appears as books, computers, everything. There's things because they feel like something. So they can only imagine the no thing, but it's not imaginable. It doesn't need to be imagined.
Yeah, and a lot of the no thing is also that you are not, you don't have the story. So of course, if you don't add any labels or names to anything, no story to anything, of course there's nothing. Right.
Well, everything just is then. Everything just appears to be car, tree, friend, wife, child. Everything just is free then, because it's just nothing being everything. It's not a separate thing, because there are no separate things. So it's actually the same. It's the same perception the person has, except that it's indescribably different, because the person has an artificial layer on everything of them, a filter of me.
Right. And without that filter of me, do you really see yourself in everyone else and in everything?
No, I don't see myself in everyone else. There is no self to see in everything else.
Right.
But everything, you could say everything is in everything. It's a what's that the word I'm looking for? It escapes me now. Everything is in everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it's impossible. They're just everything is nothing and nothing is everything. Boom. There's just aliveness. It's very simple. It's very ordinary. So ordinary. It's just sitting here, and there's words, and there's computer, and there's sounds, and there's maybe a thought could arise or something, or but it's just simply what appears to be happening. That's the way it
Yeah.
is always.
Yeah.
Except that there's a sense then for people that then there's, well, I'm looking and I'm hearing and I'm sitting, and that's where all the trouble starts.
Yeah. 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 So in a way, I mean, I feel a lot, I totally, but there's a lot of me also, like, doesn't your me ever come up ever? It's completely
There's
gone.
nothing to come up. Yeah, I never had a
Yeah.
me. I never had a me. There's nothing to
Right.
come back because it was never there to begin with. Like
Yeah.
a sense of
But
anything could happen, anything could happen, anything could happen. Even a sense of separation could happen, but it wouldn't be for anybody anymore. It would be, oh, that's what's appearing to happen.
yeah.
Possibly. I don't know. Anything could happen. Like people think you're talking about some kind of state. It's not a state. It's not an experience or a state that somebody's in. That's the closest somebody can come, is that you're in some sort of state of oneness, and that's not what's been said here. Anything could happen. Anything. Because it's oneness. Like it could be fear could arise. Anything, you name it. That's the
Right.
freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you don't know. Maybe suddenly you're the Kenneth the storyteller again. but but at the same time, that's probably unlikely since it's like it's like cut at the root. So how can you suddenly, But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think people think of it in terms of it's a real thing that fell away that then could
Yeah.
possibly come back again. It's not a real thing that fell away. It was never
Yeah.
even happening to begin with. So it seems that when the energy of that feeling separate is no more, it doesn't appear to come back. It does for a period of time for many. There's that play in of kind of feeling like a person again, and then feeling like not that mean and being is often called mean and being, and then that just plays out until, whilst that's happening, then there's a really felt feeling of being a person again, and that's what's happening. That's what's appearing to happen. But then when there's just, it's indescribable and it's a non-event. You see, that's the part. It's a total non-event. It's just like, oh, you know.
Yeah. Right. It's just like a melting of yourself, whatever. It just melts away.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, it's totally impossible to describe because nothing happens.
Right.
It's indescribable. Nothing happens. It's literally nothing happens because it's already the case that there's just wholeness
Yeah.
already. It's already
Yeah,
just
yeah.
simply whatever appears to be.
Yeah.
It's not like you can't understand this, what's being said. It doesn't need to be understood.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. William, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi again, Kenneth. So,
Hello, William.
So basically, the me, like I said before, it's like a constant agitation. So it seems to me like that the need of the me to be constantly acting on something or working on something is like this ceaseless kind of incessant thing that it just can't stop. Is that just part of the nature of the me? Is it just has to constantly be doing, constantly be?
The me is in movement. Yeah, the me is a constant movement. The way I would describe it is like a closed loop. It's constantly, continually moving towards something, in this sense of there's something continually, something else to get, there's something else to get, there's something else to get, there's something else to know, there's somewhere to get to. It's that closed loop of me, and there's nothing in the closed loop of me that can get rid of or stop the closed loop of me, because if there is the sense of doing something, the me doing something, it will only reinforce the closed loop of me. So for instance, someone's thinking that it's fair enough, logical enough, okay, this is nothing, so I'll just meditate. Then I will meditate every morning, and just that there will be no thing. I will just meditate and see the no thing. Like I can see how people think that, and then all that does is reinforce the sense that there's somebody who can meditate to see the no thing, and then that's just the loop just going. And that's the way it plays out. it's not that there's nothing you can do. There's no you there that can do or not do anything. So the loop is an illusion. It's artificial, but it feels real to the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really feels like a tension that I need to do something
Yeah,
about.
it's a real feeling, like it's a really felt feeling. It's not an idea. You know, you can't say separation is an idea or a concept. It's a really felt feeling. It's a really felt contracted feeling. It really does feel like there's an individual there, a person there.
And obviously, along with that, like loop of trying to do something to get out of the loop, which is reinforcing the loop, apparently, there's this constant analyzing and processing and judging and evaluating.
Yeah, that's what's happening there then.
But
That's not right. That's not right or wrong. That's just what's happening there. Evaluating, judging. Yeah.
But the end of the sense, you're saying the loop's an illusion, so meaning it's already not real.
Yeah. Like what I'm not saying anything. It's just nothing. It's just coming from suggestion that there's nobody talking there. There's nobody said there that self and its illusion. It's not real. Nobody just said that that's just nothing being everything. That's just energy. There's already no William is already a story. Like
it's impossible for me to, and you
it's
probably
impossible for me. It's totally impossible for the person. It's completely, totally, and utterly impossible. It's completely impossible. And the amazing thing about it is, it's just simply this.
I just can't
It needs
believe
to be done. The problem, the hard part for the person is nothing can be done. The amazing thing is nothing needs to be done.
But the thing is, I'm talking to you. Well, okay, you said I'm not, but I think I'm talking to you now. And say before the break, there was a hope or an intention, like soon I won't be, or eventually I won't be there because I'm talking to Kev. But now, if there's just this talking, I still can't imagine or believe that there's
Well, you
anything.
can't, of course, you can't imagine. You can't be imagined, though. It can't be, nothing that's been said here can be imagined or believed. Do you know? I mean, there's people who believe that they're not there. They believe what's being said here, and it makes no difference whatsoever. It's just another, that's just someone with a belief then. And how could you imagine everything? How can you imagine everything, which is nothing? How can that be imagined? Anything that would be imagined would be an idea.
But then if you've apparently the sense of self dropped away about 13 years ago in that story.
That's all a story, yeah.
It's been 13 years of no ceaseless movement and agitation. And I'm just jealous.
There hasn't been 13 years. That's also a story. There's been no 13 years. There's just nothing being everything. And there's nothing being everything there as well. But in that nothing being everything, there may have been a story of William may appear. And it seems to, from what's reported there, have been appearing for, say, 13 years. It doesn't matter. There is no 13 years. There's nothing except what appears to be, which is nothing and everything, being everything.
It's great. I don't understand it, but thank you anyway.
You're making great progress, William. I'm very impressed.
Bingo.
That's what I needed to hear.
You're making great progress. I'm very encouraged. I'm very encouraged by your progress. It's a hologram. Hologram is the word I was looking for. Hologram. Everything is in everything. You could say that. Because everything, there is no, like, from a scientific point of view, like, there is nothing that exists in and of itself. It's impossible.
Go ahead, Eligio. Unmute yourself.
Hey, Kenneth.
Oh, yeah.
You got me thinking about science, and this is kind of a beautiful story. Oh, I'm unmuted. Yeah, I'm unmuted. Okay, this is kind of a beautiful story. The energy, you say that everything is energy, and then we have the second law of thermodynamics. You know, everything's energy, can't be destroyed or created. What do you think
Energy
about that?
can't be destroyed or created. So what we feel of as birth and then death is an illusion, because it's an imaginary beginning and an imaginary end. Because all there is energy. But we feel that you were born and then you have a life and then you die and that's the end. But there's no possibility of an end. There's just what appears to be. In the same way that, like, it's an illusion, in the same way that a wave, if you look at a wave, and a wave, if you stand at the on the shore and you look at a wave, it can appear like there's a wave approaching the beach, say the shore, and the wave approaches and approaches, and then bang, it falls and it hits the shore, and that's the end of the wave. Total and utter illusion. It's literally an optical illusion. Firstly, there was nothing coming at you. It was actually going up and down. The water oscillates like that. And what you perceive as something coming like this is literally energy going like this. And then when it hits the shore, you could say that's it's the equivalent of a human life, saying that it started out there, there's the wave, that's the life, bang, it hit the shore, that's the end, that's the death. Complete illusion. Total illusion, because all that is, all what was just described there was just energy. And as you put, nothing can be created or destroyed because everything's just energy. So that wave hitting the shore is simply energy, and it just appears to be, to the human eye, looks like that's the end of a wave. That's the equivalent of someone thinking that's the end of a human life. It's the same.
It's amazing.
It's stunning. It's absolutely amazing.
It's amazing how those patterns repeat themselves, the waves and then like yesterday I was looking up words that you were saying. So that kind of answers my question. We're talking about the energy you say is the energy that I'm thinking of. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
The same energy. You're speaking of the same energy. When you say energy,
but there's only one energy. When I say energy, it is literally the words. Energy. When I say energy, is literally the words.
If I look it up in a dictionary,
that's just that everything, that hand, that screen, Eligio, there is nothing but energy. There is simply nothing but energy. And in that energy, there is what appears as people who feel that there's energy and there's me. There's life and there's me, and it's a total dream. There is no life and you. There's no life with you and you with your life. And that's what we are illuminating now. That's what we're illuminating here, is that artificial sense that there's life in my life. And it resonates as it resonates.
To me, it sounds compatible to science, to me. That's right now.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, there's parts of science that completely echo what's been said here. Absolutely, but science is life sciencing. It's stunning, actually. Some of the things that are being discovered and are measured, it's amazing. It
is amazing.
But it's just that science goes back to a knowing and someone who wants to know the unknowable.
Yeah.
That's where the line is. Like, this isn't going to be proven through science. There's literally nothing to prove. But I mean, it can't. Of course, it's echoed. It's echoed in everything. It's because it is already everything. It's echoed in Buddhist texts, in Christian texts, in Hinduism, in all of these things. What's being said here is clearly stated in a lot of these things, but they're all overlaid with dogma. They're all overlaid. At the heart of them, there's clearly, the Gnostic Gospels, turn over a rock, I'm under it. In other words, it's just this. It's everything. This is the kingdom of heaven. But then overlaying all of that then is a dogmatic prescription that speaks to somebody. And then that's where it's just all nonsense.
Yeah, and then also it overlays by the conditioning of that person that is the saying what you're saying, but they don't realize that their conditioning is kind of getting in the way. Like you're saying, it's an overlay.
Yeah, well, it's not even that there's somebody that has conditioning. It's just that there's just conditioning. There's just that artificial dream of me. Right. That it's an appearance. It's just an appearance. Right. It's of no significance, no meaning. It's just what appears to be happening. But for the person, it's of a very, very, very big significance because everything is filtered through me. So the only gig in town is me, because me has to. It's like the gate that everything has to pass through. Okay, you're here for, okay, Pastor, you go ahead, you go through me. You know,
Yeah.
I'm looking
It-
at the flower.
yeah.
The flower is fine, but it has to pass through the gate of me looking through the flower,
Yeah.
at the flower. And whilst there is that filter of me, there's an agitation. There's a sense of there's something within this that's not quite right. And what's being shared here is that it's not that there's something missing, it's that there's that sense of being a you is artificial. So there's a false addition, in fact, to everything that's not
Yeah.
real. Then that can
Yeah.
resonate, and it can just be boom. It's you can it's
Yeah.
stunning when it's just
One
seen.
day.
It's just seen, not one day, not one day. There's
One
no
day.
there's no day, there's no, there's no day.
Now.
It simply just, it is literally just saying one day. It's just what appears to be happening. No
Right.
matter what that is, no matter what that is.
Right. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Kenneth.
Thanks.
Thank you, Leo. I have a question here from Kane. How does this compare to your perception of liberation as a me?
How does it compare to my perception of liberation? I didn't get the end of that.
As a me.
Okay, how does it compare to my perception of liberation as a me? Well, I mean, the perception of the me of liberation is just an idea. It's just a thought. So if a person has a concept of what's being said here, it's just a concept. It's just simply an idea. I mean, that's energy. That's nothing right or wrong with it. When this is seen by nobody, it's seen there is no liberation. There's no such thing as liberation, because all there is just whatever appears to be. It's indescribable. And it's always like that. It's always simply just, yeah.
There seems to be a misconception, Kenneth, when people talk about this, that they think that it's just all bliss and then no anger
Oh, yeah.
happens. Talk about that, because or no agitation.
Yeah, I mean, that's really back to what the kind of the motion of the person is, to pull in pleasure and push away discomfort. And it's this, in this manner, the kind of me protects itself from a world that it feels is outside of itself. So there's this draw towards comfort and safety, and a feeling that pain and discomfort and confusion and all these things, that they're not it. So there's an avoidance of them, a pushing away of them, and a pulling in of pleasure. And so when the person imagines what's being suggested here, they feel it must be a confirmation of that reality that they live in, that you must not feel, there must not be discomfort then, because that's their reality. That's the closed reality of the person. And they imagine that it would be very it's like some state. They imagine, because the person is kind of going from one state to another, or one experience to another, they can only imagine it as some experience or state. So that you're in some state whereby nothing really bothers you, no fear would arise, no discomfort would arise, no pain would arise. It would be kind of blissful, like you said, Emerson, or a lovely pink cloud of fucking bliss. You know what I mean? How boring. You know what I mean? That is just ridiculous. Like, it's just wrapped in some cotton wool where just everything is so lovely. And it's absolute nonsense. Compared, like, it's any idea that the person has of what's being said here is utter nonsense compared to what's being pointed towards. What's being pointed towards is beyond words. It's just so, it's nothing being everything, and anything can happen, anything can appear to happen, and everything is it. That's the freedom. Pain, discomfort, it's free then to just be pain and discomfort, when it's not my pain or my discomfort. And everything, there's just an isness to everything then, and everything is seen, it couldn't be any way or the other way. So that sense of trying to push that away in favor of something else just collapses, because this This is it.
People might not see it, but I'm levitating 2 feet above the ground. I don't know how many. Johannes, go ahead, please. I'm just joking, by the way.
Just to clarify that statement, Emerson is not, in fact, levitating off the ground. You are playing bingo on the QT, though. I fucking know it. You're raking in the money there. Multitasking.
Yeah. Johannes, go ahead.
Hi, Kevin.
Oh yeah, how are you, Johannes?
I'm not too bad. What I consider or wondering about, everything is energy. But it seems like the energy have a certain pattern, and the pattern stays in a certain ways, more or less, or recreate a certain environments, more or less. For the person and for the environments, more or less. I've grown up in the same environments, or I wake up in the same environments in the morning, and the body looks the same more or less as the day before. And I'm wondering what keeps all this energy in a certain pattern.
It's just energy appears in patterns. It's just the nature of things that everything is in waves. It appears as waves, but it's both a wave and it isn't a wave. You know, it's not unknowable, but patterns appear. That's the way it is. There's no why or reason for it. Patterns appear in nature, in everything. There's a rhythm. There's an unknowable rhythm to everything, and that's the way it is. That's the way it is. That doesn't have any kind of knowing or any meaning or significance.
Okay. Because that's I'm wondering why the apparent appearance of self stays for so long.
Well, it doesn't stay for so long. It doesn't stay for so long. It doesn't stay for so long. It doesn't even start. It's an appearance, you see. So the person feels like it starts and it stays for so long. There is no for so long, and there is no for so long. There's just nothing being everything. So for so long falls away with the person because this is eternity.
Yeah.
There is no for so long.
Yeah, it's already eternity.
This is like literally, this is eternal and infinite. That, and I mean, it's already like, and the sense of a person is using time to find eternity. That's the utter futility that's been exposed here. The utter futility of using time to find eternity. You know, that's what essentially the person is doing. They feel that they can use time to find eternity. So if I meditate for an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, it'll be seen that there's no hour in the morning, there's no hour in the evening. There's just eternity. But doing that, the person feels that it's just keeping that sense going, that they're in there and they have choice and that they can do something.
Yeah, because everything is already everything. So there's
everything is nothing and nothing is everything. This is nothing being everything and everything being nothing, which is completely, totally, and utterly beyond understanding. It's not, there's no possible way to understand any of what's been said here. And the beautiful thing is it doesn't need nothing. You are not needed in anything. Like the person feels it's incredible. Like if I was to fall away, if the person engaging with this would feel, if I was to fall away though, like, I mean, my income would go, the job would go, the relationship would go. How would I even feed myself? It's just this huge arrogance that they feel that they're there and doing everything, that the income is coming in because their hard work, the relationship is there because they're working on the relationship, that they're feeding, they're driving the car. And the big joke is that you never are there. You never started, you were never there. You're never, right now you're not there. And there's driving the car, there's whatever, all them examples I just used, can't even remember them anymore. That's the way it is. But the person, it cannot in the person, in their arrogance, cannot conceive that anything would continue without them being there to do it.
Yeah, because the person could not do anything because it's not there in the first
It's
place.
not there. It's not there in the first place. It's not there. That's
Yeah.
the big joke. Like that's what I keep coming back
Yeah.
to. The
Yeah.
divine comedy, the divine comedy of the whole thing is that it's just you never were there. It's just it's already just this. Not that there's anything divine. I don't really like the word divine, but I still like saying divine comedy.
Yeah, just words. So
Just words, yeah. I mean, there's no fixation. There's not. It doesn't really matter. This is all energetic, you know.
and what I'm not quite clear about when you're talking about resonance. I mean, we come to those meetings kind of what because there's attraction to this message.
You don't come to the meetings, though. You don't come to the meetings. There's no meeting. This isn't a meeting now. That's all a story. Like that's all a story that there's a virtual residential. It's a meeting and you're at it. You're not at anything. Isn't that amazing? That's stunning. There's nothing. This is nothing being everything. You're not at it. You're not speaking. You didn't just speak there. It's stunning. It's just amazing. There's just literally just what appears to be. All of it can be seen as just it's just all a story.
Yeah, it really cannot be expressed in words more or less.
Words just point. Just nothing wrong or right with words, and there's just a certain kind of avoidance of certain terms and words that are more confusing for the person. That's all. But it's not that some words can say it and other words can't. Like it's inexpressible, and it's not inexpressible because it's so esoteric and amazing. It's inexpressible because it's just ordinary and so obvious and already the case.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Stunning, super stunning. William, unmute yourself. Thank you, Johannes.
Kenneth, I feel like I'm getting the absolute shit beaten out of me. And it's like I'm in so much mental, emotional, and physical pain listening to this.
Yeah.
Because I feel like everything that I believe, my whole reality that I'm so certain of is getting ripped apart.
That's what's happening there then.
I knew you'd say that. What? There's nothing the me can do because if listening to this happens and then having everything taken away from you happens, the me can't stop that. But if the me carries on circling around in a loop and living like a me for the rest of its life, that's not fulfilling either. So there's nowhere the me can go and get what it wants.
It's impossible.
It's never going to get fed.
Yeah.
It's not like I can say, oh, there's better things to listen to than this. I want to say this is the only hope I've got, but it is.
If this is the only hope you've got, then you're pretty fucked, William. Like royally fucked if this is the only hope you have, because this is the most hopeless. There's nothing more hopeless than this. I mean, the whole energy of being a person is hope. Because if you think about hope, it's a hope for something better. Like it's not good enough now that there's a kind of stillness in the air there, and there's a computer and there's a chair and there's just there's a bird kind of just flying by and there's boxes, and that's not good enough. There has to be something better for the person. Then it has to be, I hope that it gets sunny again, and I hope that someone phones, and it's always this movement towards something else.
The
apparent movement.
Well, the hope is, I hope Kenneth and this message takes me to where I want to get to, but it's taking me in the completely opposite direction. It's tracking me right down instead of.
It's nothing to do with you. It might come as a bit of a shock. Nothing to do with you. Like what you think that this is about is irrelevant. What you hope to get out of this is irrelevant. What you feel about yourself is irrelevant. What you know about yourself, what you experience about yourself is irrelevant. It is nothing to do with you. Nothing whatsoever. Nothing to do with any idea you have of this, any thought. nothing to do with you. There is no you. It's an appearance.
So you were only joking previously when you told me I was making progress. Just to clarify.
Just to clarify.
It gave me a little bit of hope.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I don't know
You
what.
really have to put a disclaimer on these jokes, Emerson, don't you? Possibly.
William, by the way, that's number 21 now. You know
Mm.
that.
There's nothing left that I could ask or say.
No,
or...
I mean, that's the thing about some of the longer ones. There can be just more quiet, or what people perceive as silence, because there's literally becomes nothing to ask. You know, it can be quite obvious. There's nothing to ask.
Not just even in
But
this
the
retreat.
question may appear to come.
Not even in this retreat, even in any meeting, even if a question comes, ask a question, it'll never get me what I'm trying to find.
Of course it won't. No, that's obvious that there's no answer to the question. And that's what's stated very clearly, is that there's an answer to the question. It can be seen that there is no question. The person feels that there's an answer to their question, and they look for an answer to the question, and they find answer after answer, and one will seem to satisfy and for a while, and then they'll get another one and another and another. They'll keep milling through, and keep the questions come up, and they think there's an answer to the question. There is no answer to the question, because there is no question, because there's no person.
Because I had a picture in my head that it's like digging and digging and digging, hoping to find water, and at the end you just find more mud. But what you're saying is there's no one with a shovel, and there's no one.
It's like as if they're looking for a treasure in life, but there is no treasure to find, because it's just simply the aliveness that is the treasure already. I think that's a kind of Tony Parsons analogy. I think he says a nice thing about that, about you're looking for treasure in life, and already life is already the treasure, if you want to put it that way.
And the apparent veil to not see the treasure as it is.
No, the apparent veil is the apparent you, who feels that there's a treasure in life, that feels that there's some treasure to get, and it's not seen that it's already the treasure. Energy is already the treasure. Beingness is already the treasure, if you want to put it that way. These are just words that point towards something, though.
But you don't see that beingness is already the
No,
treasure.
of course I don't.
So why?
How can I see it? Nobody sees it. There is nobody. There's no you there that's going to see it either.
So what's the use of having beingness?
There's no use to anything. There's no use to anything. This is the most useless thing. We said that yesterday. This is the most useless thing to the person. The person wants this, like, feels that something can be of use to them.
But what? There's no value.
If there's no meaning in anything and there's nowhere to get to, what use would it be?
So it's like having treasure lying there and no one's allowed to have it.
Okay. You know, it's not being heard what I'm saying, what's been said.
I know what you're saying.
That's the problem, maybe. You know it.
Thank you.
I think Susan has a question. Go ahead, Susan. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that some non-duality teachers do mention or do talk about, bow to whatever comes up, or like kind of integrating who you are already, almost as if,
because they're teachers.
if you're too indulged or too much in your me, there are kind of different things you can do to kind of you welcome everything and you're embracing everything and so on.
Yeah. Teachings of
But
imprisonment. Teachings
yeah,
of
I
imprisonment.
don't know
Yeah.
if it's helpful.
It's just what it is. It's just what it appears to be. It's just a teaching of imprisonment that is within the story of me and feeds the me, feeds the individual. So that's what appears to happen. It's no different than any of the other ones that say there is a thing called enlightenment, and if you meditate and be mindfully aware, you can approach it and work towards, and then you will be enlightened. It's the same thing repackaged. There's no such thing as non-duality. There's no such thing as a teacher. And if someone calls themselves a non-dual teacher, it's absolute, complete, total, and utter bullshit. It's somebody who sees somebody else who is speaking to them, that they can soften the me, get them to accept that everything is as it is, and then therefore weaken this me, and then there may be wholeness at some point. Nonsense. Who are they speaking to? Who are they speaking
Yeah.
to? Once they're
Right.
speaking to somebody who can do something, it's a teaching of imprisonment. And that's what the vast majority of what falls under non-duality is exactly as you described there. People who, and some of them now wouldn't even say that they're teachers. They would also say there's nothing to teach, but they're still speaking to someone. You can get a sense. It's a much more rare communication that's clear and uncompromising, and therefore more confronting, much more confronting, and not popular. It's not the
Yeah.
popular one, because the popular one is the one that wants to be the student who can sit at the feet of the teacher. Tell me what to do, please, please tell me what to do.
Yeah.
The person loves that.
Yeah. But it's just, I think they're trying to talk to people with different
Levels.
understandings. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Yeah, I know. It's an ignorance. It's basically an ignorance, because they speak to somebody, they see somebody, so therefore they feel like somebody who sees somebody else. So it's total dualism. Most of them are quite sincere. They feel that there's this thing called non-duality, and that they have got rid of their me, and that they can help other people get rid of their me. So that's fine. That's what appears to happen. And it's attractive to somebody, or it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in a way, I can see it. It's just to say you're completely lost in the me. Like you're so like, let's say you're a person who is very maybe traumatized, or but then maybe it's better to go to a therapist. I don't know. It's
not
just
better.
like,
It's not better or worse. Nothing is better or worse. Going to a therapist may appear to happen, and it may not appear to happen. There is no me there that anything is better or worse for. There's just
right.
what's appearing to happen. And there's a communication such as today, this from nothing, that sees nothing but unconditional love. You are already whole and complete. So that you're not being spoken to as a person, because there's no person acknowledged, because there is nobody to acknowledge. So there's nobody to make whole.
Right. It's just surprising how many actually do kind of talk about the integration, the embodiment.
It's not surprising at all, really, because the big story is me, and then the me gets a hold of this thing called non-duality, and it's not surprising at all that there's loads and loads and loads and loads of people who talk about the embodiment of oneness and the this and the that. It's all the same stuff repackaged. If you go back a couple of parent years, they were talking about presence and being in the now, being in the moment, mindful awareness, and then the new kind of buzzword is non-duality. You'll have non-duality for kids and non-duality, maybe, I don't know, not sure it'll get that popular, but you could potentially have non-duality for business people, just like mindful awareness was. It's just same stuff. It's confusing for the person, because it's obviously confusing, because they listen and they hear terms like oneness and wholeness and separation, and they hear all these different characters talking, and they think they're all the same. Everyone's saying the same thing. And the way it is that 99% of them are nonsense, and they're speaking to a person. And there's a certain amount of them that are not speaking to anybody, and are clear and uncompromising, but are extremely confronting in general to the person. And the person just can't differentiate, mostly because they feel, well, that's the same as what's been said today is the same as what person A, B, and C are saying. And they can't differentiate at all. And really, to really differentiate, it's that you don't actually, there's people who are still report themselves to feel like people, and they can completely differentiate. They see that they're totally different. Even intellectually, it can be seen. But often it's not. When you feel like a person, it can be hard to see the difference. Doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, and maybe it's also because it's maybe, like the unconditional love that actually is the energy is unconditional, right? So it's like, oh yeah, you can unconditionally love whatever comes your way, and maybe that will, break away for your heart to break.
Oh yeah, completely. Like there's
states.
Yeah. You can absolutely have be in a state where you unconditionally accept everything that happens. And that's not what's being said here at all. But that can be an experience for the person, is to be. And when Kenneth first did an interview, there was a question about acceptance, and Kenneth said, it's kind of like acceptance. There was a little bit of confusion around it. And I could see immediately after I watched the video, the next few days, I saw it and I was like, oh, that wasn't clear. There's quite a few things that weren't clear. But it couldn't be any other way. It was lovely. But it's that there can be a state that where you say the person would say to themselves that, okay, so this is actually oneness, right? This is just energy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, anything that appears to happen to me is just going to be acceptance of that. I'm not going to struggle with it. I'm not going to fight with it anymore. And if that dickhead at work speaks to me in that way again, I'm just going to say, you know what? That's what's happening. That's what's happening. And if some guy flips me off at the traffic lights, I go, okay, that's what's happening. I'm going to accept it. Just accept it. And I step in dog shit, I'm going to go, okay, that's what's happening. Dog shit. Life is dog shitting. So then there's this cultivation of this sense of, okay, I'm accepting everything because everything is love. And that is a person who is in a state that they feel that they're accepting everything. And that's not what's being suggested here at all. It is absolutely not a state of mind or an experience. It's way, way beyond that. It's just simple full-on aliveness for nobody. It's just that there's just simply whatever appears to be happening. There's nobody in there to accept or reject what is appearing to happen.
Yes. And but even like ancient teachings, like Tibetan Buddhism, for example, there is a whole tantric which is very direct and fast way of blah and blah blah. Yeah, but it's an imitation in a way. Tantra. It is like you are acting as if you are already awake, right? And then somehow that apparently sow the seeds for really awakening, right? And and it is also that no one is there.
Yeah.
I mean, they do talk about there is nobody there. Emptiness, right? It's all emptiness.
Yeah, I mean, it's stated clearly in lots of Buddhist texts.
Tantric path.
Yeah, that's as we said that a little bit earlier. It was said earlier that there is plenty of stuff in, say, if you want to take Buddhism, in Buddhist texts that are very, you could say they're very clear. The emptiness is form and form is emptiness, and all the ways that the void is all those lovely things, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. And then they're overlaid by dogma and prescriptively speaking to an individual who can then find a thing called wholeness. And that's where it goes. This is totally completely unrelated to what's being this communication to all of those. They do not meet or mix in any way, shape, or form. They're totally different.
Yeah.
So there's a sense in them that they can sow the seeds in somebody, and then them seeds will grow and that person will blossom into oneness. So it's fundamentally an ignorance. It's ignoring that there is already just oneness and there is no separate individual. So by seeing a separate individual in which you can sow seeds is an imprisonment then. It's just an imprisonment. That's all it is. So all
Yeah.
of that is completely, is nonsense. And
Yeah.
on say apparent liberation, when there is nobody, all of that is just collapses, and there's no Buddhism, nothing to believe in, nothing. It's just simply what appears to be. There's nothing to hold on to or believe in or know.
Yeah, right. And actually, for example, with the tantric path, it's also like they, whatever happens in life, they offer it up as to a deity, or as themselves as a deity, or whatever. That doesn't exist. It's all emptiness. Nothing exists, but it's a practice to kind of, you know, so that you can get rid of yourself, you know, or
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
so you can
They're all
realize there's no me.
Yeah,
But at the
they're all
same time,
practices.
it's
Yeah,
a,
they're paths and practices, and therefore imprisonments. It's an illusion.
right.
Like, how can there be
Yeah.
a path? How can there be a path to
Yeah,
what
I
already is? How can
right.
there be a path?
I know, but then we are all on a path. Our life is in a way a path where
Apparently,
suddenly we fall away. Like happened to you at one time.
nothing happened
You
to me
thought
though.
you
I
existed,
wasn't
and
on a
then
path. No, I wasn't on a path at all, and it was never anything but nothing but everything. There was the illusion or the appearance of a Kenneth, which appeared to fall away. Then it was seen there never was a path, and there never was anything but what appeared to be. There was nothing.
right.
There was no sense here of being on a path, that something led to something.
No, that's true. But at one time in your life, earlier in your life, you thought you did exist, right? You
There
thought
was
there
an
was a
illusion. There was
Kenneth.
an apparent
Yeah,
illusion of feeling separate.
right.
Apparently, yeah.
And now, you know, that's not there anymore. So we could say life or whatever, but at one time you were, and now you're not, you know. And
No, at one time I wasn't. It's
no,
not that
no,
at
you
one
you
time I
still was,
was, and
yeah,
then
right.
I
You
never
thought you were.
was. It was the illusion. This is the
And-
difficulty. It's an illusion. It
right.
was the
So you,
appearance. It was the appearance. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you never were, but you thought you were, and uh, so then you could say it's almost like something in your life, you know, it's something happened or whatever,
Nothing happened.
and
Nothing happened though.
no,
That's the difficulty. This is
the,
the problem here, and what's been shared is that the person lives in happenings, so it thinks that, oh, something happened to you, and then there's only kind of thing. It's not like that. This is nothing being everything. Nothing happens. So nothing's going to happen to anyone here that will then bring them to wholeness or anything.
no, I know, because you already are. So how can something happen to get
Because
you there?
there's no
But
person for anything to happen to. But
right,
like, I mean, the person
but
lives in that reality of happenings, and everything is sequential. So one thing happens, another thing happens, another thing happens, another thing happens. So when there's a sharing from a character like this, then it's logical and understandable that the person listening would feel that, well, you had to have done something for there to be no you. Of course, that's what the person hears. That's the reality the person is in. It's impossible. It's nothing leads to anything else. And it would be, if there was no sense of self anymore, it would be despite anything that appeared to go before it.
yeah, yet there's a chance that now we being with you, for example, and it's there's a chance that maybe the me will go away. You know what I'm saying? Like,
The me won't go
although
away though. The me won't go
no, it
away,
was never
because the me
there,
is not
but
there. And all that's been shared here
yeah,
is that there's already no separate me. There's no separate individuals in this virtual Zoom. There's no virtual Zoom. There's just energy. That's all. And that resonates. That's just heard as it's heard.
okay, so then we can say resonate. There's a chance that it will resonate and we'll recognize it, that we are
You
not
won't
no one.
recognize it. You won't recognize it.
Right.
But
It
can
will be
resonate.
recognized, or there's nothing to be recognized. Yeah, okay. I know it's so hard to speak about it, and I can see how, yeah, I mean, I agree there is no path, because how can there be a path when it already is so, you know, that is, yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't either.
Can't say anything anymore.
You're not saying anything.
No,
That's the amazing thing, is you're not saying anything. You just didn't speak there. This is just nothing being everything. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Susan. I have a book coming out. It's called The Bee Extraction Process Through Breath Awareness and Tantric Meditation, Level 1.
Could
I'm just
I'd be more
joking.
interested in the tantric sex version now than anything else. Maybe
It's in the Level 2 one.
let's make it a
Level
bit
2.
more exciting.
The
For
Level
God's
2
sake,
version.
if we're gonna go down that road, let's kind of spice things up a bit. Like,
I'm just joking, everyone. I'm always
you're
joking.
you're going to, your book is How to Win at Bingo.
Yeah, that's the one. William, go ahead, please.
Kenneth, what is most frustrating about this apparent communication is that it doesn't take a position. So I can't argue with it and I can't wrestle with it because it's not actually opposing anything I'm saying.
You know, it's very frustrating. Some people find that extremely frustrating, actually. For some people, it doesn't bother them so much. It's like, whatever. But then there's some people, they find it absolutely, they're enraged by the fact that there's no argument. They want there to be an argument, very much so. Because we were talking about that earlier, the kind of polarity of everything, and it's very obvious now that there's this very dichotomous thinking that you're either with me or against me. That's the way it is. You're either you either believe, in America, it played out like you're either a Trump supporter or you're a Biden supporter. Where there's no fucking middle ground. Like, where are you? Which are you? Because you're not going to be my friend if you support Trump. And so this kind of polarized, and then you have the virus, and it's you either believe the narrative of the governments or you don't. Which is it? Which are you? Are you part of the problem or you're part of the solution? And that's always been there, and that's just. Yeah, and some people, they find it, they don't want, like, have an opinion, take a position, because it's unnerving to them that if you don't have some position, that they can you're either with them then or you're against them. So it's all black and white. It's black and white.
Because even if I just say if I listen to the concepts of this message, which I know that's not what it's about, but the concepts do overtly contradict my experience when they say there isn't anyone there, there's no free will and choice, etc. But the energy of the message is just basically saying that this is already wholeness, the experience of there being someone here who thinks they're real and they're seeking and they're trying to get somewhere. So it's actually not telling me I have to change. What we said before, another teaching has the expectation that you should be different. And it is confronting. I was saying before that I want something to wrestle me back with. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Okay.
I can't get a hold of this.
No, you can't.
Please tell me something to do. What's the right answer? Is it asking questions? Is it
Emerson,
listening?
will you give William something to do in the garden? Just give him a
William,
role to play.
please show up in the garden, and I will
give him get him bringing beers or something in the garden.
Yeah.
The thing that I want
You're
to
my
do
assistant now, William.
Does that satiate you now, William? Is that all right? We're giving you a job.
I'm more than happy to be Emerson's assistant. But the thing, I want something to do in regards to this message so that I can get hold of it. If it's listening, if it's asking questions, what do I need to do? What is my approach to this message?
There's no message. There's just energy. There's just what appears to be happening.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Love you, William.
Unconditionally.
Unconditionally. By no one.
Same to you, Emerson. Although I can't love unconditionally because I'm still a me, but I love you.
There's no me. There's a question here. Is Kenneth looking forward to coming out of lockdown?
If that would be a thought, that would be an idea that there could be a thought of coming out of lockdown. There's no sense of there being somebody who's in lockdown. It's just what's appearing to happen. That this is just what's appearing to happen. Apparent constriction of movement and not being able to go to restaurants and stuff. And then there could be a thought of, God, it'd be nice to eat in that restaurant again. And that would just be a thought. So everything is full and complete as it is. There's no, nothing can be any different than it appears to be. So Kenneth wouldn't be looking forward to anything.
William, I have a position for bartender later on, but you have a question for now. If you don't want to be the assistant, you can be the bartender.
I haven't worked on a bar in a long, long time. So I'll see what I can do. Kenneth, so really this isn't leading anywhere. I'm asking genuinely. I want to know.
Where would it be leading to with him?
Nowhere. But that makes my whole life seem like a waste because I think everything I've done was in order to get.
So you've never done anything. It's not your life. There's only what appears to happen.
So I haven't wasted.
How could anyone waste anything when they don't have anything to waste? It's the sense that it's your life that is the feeling that it's been wasted.
I don't get it at all.
Great, perfect. We're
It's
making
really,
progress again.
really
Again, we're making
painful.
progress.
But
Once
it's
more,
really
we're getting.
painful.
I like your progress.
That's bingo.
Bingo. That's great. There's nothing to get. There's literally nothing to get. There's literally nothing to get. It's the person who gets, it's the person who understands, who lives in that, appears to live in that closed loop of knowing and gets things. The person wants, there's a sense of separation, and the person feels that they can get something that they won't feel this longing anymore. They can't, it's not that there's something that they can get, it's that there can be a loss of that feeling like somebody who can get anything. And then there's just everything and nothing, everything being nothing.
I'm in so much pain.
There's pain, there's pain. There's pain then. There's pain. Pain is appearing to happen.
Because I
Pain,
thought one day,
pain is appearing to happen.
I thought one day all my efforts would pay off.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're telling me that I'm not even here. What can I do with that information?
This is unconditional love happening.
No, Emerson, don't join in. Oh my God, this is horrible. I can't get anywhere.
There's a question here from Kane. Is the atom the infinite?
Yeah, there is only the infinite, which is nothing being everything. This is just infinite. Asking, is the atom the infinite? There is only infinite. There's only infinite and eternal. There's no border or boundary on anything. This is boundless wholeness, which is totally and utterly unknowable. So there's no atom, there's no, like, anything you think of as a thing isn't a thing, it's just energy appearing as that.
Question here, but doesn't life improve? Like if cancer is healed, life improved, or if death is
Yeah,
paid
in the
off,
story,
life improved?
yeah, in the story, things are happening and things can get worse and get better and improve or disimprove in the story. In the story, yeah. In the story, somebody who gets cancer and they die of cancer or they beat cancer, and it's all a story. It's all a story.
And goes, you're beautiful, William.
I'm so desperate. And I can't find what I'm looking for here or anywhere. I can't even say I want a solution because I know that I won't find one.
Mats, go ahead, please.
So valuing when some kind of insight comes and valuing that is just feeding the closed loop of knowing.
It's just what appears to be happening. Yeah, it's not of any significance. It's not as if, like, also, just to be really clear, it's not as if there's something that can be done that's wrong in some way. It's not possible for the person to do something that's wrong that kind of moves away from what's being suggested here. It's totally impossible. It's inescapable. You are already nothing being everything already. It's already just simply this. So if there's an insight, then there's an insight. That's what's appearing to happen. But it's not of any relevance. Insights are just appear to happen. They're no more relevant than a leaf falling off a tree. The person feels they're terribly relevant and that they want more insights into the way that things appear to be.
Yeah, I have had a lot of that, and I
Yeah.
also enjoy. I also enjoy, you know.
Oh
this
yeah,
kind of
yeah. I mean,
thing.
insights can be enjoyable. Yeah, that's what's happening then.
But
It's sunny.
this has been, you know, keeping some close loop of knowing going.
Well, maybe if there's a sense that these insights are of meaning, then that's the person sensing the energy of the apparent person thinking that the insights are of meaning. That's what's appearing to happen. They're not of meaning because nothing is of meaning, because there's just nothing being everything.
It seems like kind of the cosmic joke somehow, and how
Cosmic joke. Yeah, it is the cosmic joke. It's the divine comedy. There's just what's appearing to happen. You could say that it's the cosmic joke. Doesn't feel like a joke when there's a person, when there's a feeling of being a person.
not always like a joke.
No, it doesn't feel like that. It's a real, like, the feeling of being a person's not a joke for the person. It's a contracted sense of separation. It's a really felt feeling that there's a world out there that I'm negotiating, and I'm negotiating and relating to people in, and so on. There's a really felt feeling of being separate. It's a contracted, energetic sense of a me in here in a world out there. It's not an idea, and it's a huge agitation to it, and there's a huge, enormous sense of unworthiness in it. Because the feeling is that paradise has been lost, wholeness has been lost.
And the struggle to get out of it just makes it, keeps it.
Well, it's just anything in it. It's not real. It's not real. It's not as if there's a struggle to get out of it is going to make a real thing more real. It's just what appears to be. But everything within the loop is just within the loop. So a person feeling that they can soften their me by accepting everything, or being mindfully aware, or meditating, or whatever the list is endless. That's obviously just that's obviously just the apparent me in the loop of me thinking they cannot be me. So it's just going around and around, apparently going around and around and around. What they're in that story, there's a sense that they are getting somewhere, and that there's somehow, it can be a really lived feeling that I'm getting closer to wholeness. I'm feeling closer to oneness and a thing. And all it is a state and an experience, or a state of mind. And the person feels that that's evidence that they can do something.
Yeah,
what's been shared here is an illumination that there is nobody, the complete futility of you trying to get something, you trying to get somewhere. The beautiful futility of that. There's nowhere to get to. There's no you that can get there. There's simply only whatever appears to be, which is nothing being everything. And that can resonate, and does. And when it's obvious, it's just obvious to no one. It's just boom. It's not a knowing or an understanding. It's completely outside of knowing or understanding.
yeah, and that is why also this question I was raising now is also completely futile.
Yeah, every question is, it's like we said, no, there's no answer. But the questions are, in one way, you see, the questions are an energy. There's an energy to the question, and there's an energy to, because everything is energy anyway, but it's not that there's an answer to the question, but when there's this sharing like this, then there's a sharing of the question and there's an answer. It's as if it facilitates just this resonance. It's not to do with the question or the answer. There's just a resonance when there's an apparent engagement like this and a sharing like this. So that's why, you know, if there's a question, it's there to be asked. It's not as if it can be quite clear that there's no silly question, or there's no smart question. There's just whatever appears to be. There's just apparently asking a question. And everything is new. Everything is new. You're not asking the question. Everything is new.
Stunning. We have 10 minutes left for our second break. If you have any questions, raise your hand or type the question.
We've apparently got 10 minutes left for our apparent break.
And there's iPhone Larry, apparently.
iPhone Larry.
So
What if you move to Android? Are you going to call yourself Android Larry? iPhone Larry has a nicer ring to it.
yes, Android. Do androids dream of electric sheep?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, that was the original name of Blade Runner. But all questions come from the me, don't they?
Yes, questions appear to happen. There is no me that's anything comes from. You know,
Yeah.
there's a continual going back to this me, that this comes from the me and that comes from the me, and this is to do with me and that's to do with me. There is no me. There is no individual. It's just an appearance. That's
So
what's being illuminated.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, who we really are has no questions.
We're not really anything. There's just what appears to be, which is nothing being everything. And these questions are only appearing to happen. So they're of no significance whether there's question, like the person then will then put meaning on. So it's if there's questions, then that's because there's a me. And if there's no questions, that's no me or something. There's just what's appearing to happen. Doesn't matter.
For example, the small child, before this contraction happens, would have no questions.
The small child, before the contraction apparently happens.
Apparently happens.
It doesn't happen. It's not happening. There never is a separate person. There's an appearance of a sense of feeling separate. And there's just if you're around children, some people aren't around children that much, but if you're around small children, the energy is just boom, wild. There's pooing and screaming and laughing and crying and kissing, and it's just like full on, man. It's full on. And there's an immediacy to that which we find quite intriguing. We find that interesting. There's less of a delay in everything. They fall, they hurt themselves. Mommy, daddy, you know, there's the filter isn't so much strong there. And then as they appear to grow up and get more of a me, there becomes more of a buffer and a sense of this filter of me. And we appear then as adults. We think we're adults because there's this conditioning into this sense that you are now a person and an adult. So that sense of a contraction appears to kind of get more.
And then the questions begin.
Yeah. All the while, or not though, or not. I mean, there's plenty that are just pottering away in the story of a sense that they're a person, and there's working and there's this and they're trying to get, and none of this is there's not so much a sensitivity to that there's something else, and that's the way it is. But if it starts going this way, once the sensitivity, there is a sensitivity, it starts to go more to a question of kind of along this kind of route. Yeah.
Just listening to all these questions, it just seems like most of them are coming from a sense of me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's fine. There's nothing right or wrong with that.
Which is not real.
Which is not real, so it doesn't matter. It's just actually, it's just,
So the questions
it's of
don't matter.
there's no significance whatsoever. Nothing is of any significance. It's just all of this is totally energetic. So someone asking, like, there's nobody asking a question or saying anything. It's just what appears to be happening. There's nobody over there. There's nobody in, you're looking at a screen and you're looking at boxes with different apparent people. There's nobody in that box that has asked a question or not asked a question. There's just simply energy, which is nothing being everything. And it's always new. It's stunning. It's just always, there's just everything is always new, because it's nothing being everything and everything being nothing.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Eligio. Thanks, Larry.
Okay. Okay, to follow up on that. So the energy, but something is being noticed by something, or I'm sorry. Like what notices
Nothing.
the energy? Nothing.
Nothing.
There's just noticing.
It's just seen by nothing. It's because, and it's seen, there is only no thing then. It's not seen by anybody. The person would think, well, who is it that sees that there is nothing in everything? And the reason that is that they feel like somebody, so there has to be somebody who sees, and it's impossible from the perspective of the person, the apparent person, for anything to be seen if there's nobody who sees it. It's impossible. Like, totally impossible. It can't be. Who is it? There must be someone there who sees that there's nothing is everything.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, like if I walk toward a cliff, I'm going to notice that. I'm going to stop. Energy is going to tell me to stop.
There will just be stopping, will appear to happen.
Life or whatever.
That doesn't involve you. Nothing involves you. There's an addition then. There's walking towards a cliff, and there's stopping without falling off the cliff. And there's a sense then, there's a lived reality that I stopped myself falling off the cliff. It's an illusion. It's an illusion.
But I didn't stop to protect myself.
No, you didn't do anything, because you're not there to do anything. So there would be, in that example, there would be walking towards the cliff, there would be stopping, and that's what would appear to happen. There was no person in any part of that, just as there's no person speaking now.
Yeah, but the stopping happened, or the stopping just appears
to happen. Yeah, everything is an appearance. The person lives in the real, so everything is real. So the walking was real, the stopping was real, because everything is sequential and linear and real. It's a story.
If I don't stop, that also appears to happen.
Yeah, that's what would appear.
And I don't get destroyed because I'm energy. So I'm gonna go find the cliff. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm just kidding, by the way. Bye.
Thank you, Leo. Kane asked, where's the closest place to Bristol you have meetings? You
can, you don't have to, you can put that mattress on pause there, Emerson. You were ready with the mattress, weren't you?
That's right.
For Leo jumping off.
For Leo,
we have safeguards. We have safeguards. It is free fall and it's wild and everything, but we do have protocols and safeguards here.
Just in case.
We have people waiting at the bottom of cliffs with mattresses.
But I want a real mattress. Not this real unreal stuff.
we have Dream Plush
We've
mattress.
got these guys have everything covered.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh,
It's
great.
called the Dream Plush mattress. It's really bouncy. So you know, it's really bouncy.
I bet I have to pay extra for that, right? Too.
We'll bill
I'm
you
kidding.
after.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Thank you, guys.
And now is a good time to talk about Dream Plush mattresses. I have the best sleeps of my life on Dream Plus mattresses. I never slept before I got to Dream Plus mattresses. There's a link in the, we will send you a link about Dream Plus mattresses. Disclosure, we do have a small percent. I got an email actually the other day of someone said, I got an email about being an influencer. You're an influencer and we have a team and we can come see be a part of it. And I just
But
had
why
this
don't-
an influencer.
Just take it. Just take
So
it. Kenneth.
basically, take it. Yeah, go for it.
Just
Kenneth.
take it.
So
Go for it.
I'm wondering what companies would match up with me, and then
Yeah.
I could sell
Dream Plush
nothing.
mattresses.
Yeah,
Dream
maybe
Plush
mattresses.
mattresses.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
you can do. There's no you to do or not do anything, but definitely having a good night's sleep, it can't hurt you. So therefore,
That's right. All right, I'm gonna
start peddling my wares now.
I'm gonna send this clip of the video and market you to the influencing companies.
Yeah, no, they're all over me, Emerson, already. They're all over me. They want some of this.
That's right.
They would see that nothing you're offering. We want some of that. We want to get in on that.
There's a last question here from William. Go ahead, please.
Hiya. So what I was thinking about is how it's almost surprising that if the me's just simply an appearance and it's not really happening, for most apparent people in the world, it seems to be that the predominant experience that they feel like a me until that body dies. Would you say that the me is so contracted and solid that that's why it doesn't fall away?
I wouldn't say that the me is solid at all. It's an appearance. It appears solid. It appears contracted. It's an appearance. That's the only thing that can really be said about it. It feels real because the person lives in real. Everything is real, 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 and I'm real. And it's just a story. It's not even happening. It's not even happening. There is no me's. There is no individuals in the world. It's a story. So you keep coming at it from, oh, there's all these people in the world and they feel like people and they're real. And why is it that they feel so real? And why is it that they don't fall away or it's not seen? And that's all within the story.
So in the story, it is fair to say that because it feels so real and it seems so solid, that's why most people go to the grave feeling
there's
separate.
there's no why of anything. It's just what appears to happen. There's no why, there's no reason for anything. It's just what appears to happen is that there's life, and in that there's these human beings that feel that there's life and they have a life, and that's just what appears to happen. And then on physical death, it's seen that there never was anybody to die, and it's more and more now. It's that it can also be seen before physical death that there is nobody in the body. There's just simply what's appearing to be.
And that doesn't need to happen, is what you're saying.
It doesn't even happen. It's not a happening. The person lives in a happening.
So it doesn't even happen?
No, of course not. This is nothing appearing to happen.
Okay, thanks,
Thanks, William.
That's Sam. That was perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. We're going to do our second break right now. We'll be back in an hour for the last hour of the retreat. Thank you, Kenneth.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
See you guys at the garden.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Thanks.